The onions are coming along great. You can see how big that's getting. We've got several that are that size already. Thistles everywhere. They're doing really good. This year will be the best onions I've done. It's about the size of a baseball. Potatoes are flowering, so they're getting ready to really plump up their potatoes now. So here, probably in another month or so, month and a half, all these plants will start dying off and we'll dig up the potatoes. I dug up one in the little garden behind the house just to see how they're doing. And they're little potatoes right now, but just the one plant I dug up probably had, I don't know, 8 potatoes or so. So off of the, I don't know, 40 or 50 plants we have, we should get a few 100 pounds, I'd guess. Maybe a little more. There's a flowered, and we're starting to see little bell peppers and little fruits. And they're coming along nicely. Very windy area here. This is a bush tomato, and as you can see, it's been bullied by the wind. So instead of coming straight up, it's grown completely sideways. Bush tomatoes, normally you don't really need a tomato cage for them. I think it's just a little too windy here though. But you can see they're producing little tomatoes. There's some bigger ones down the row. That one shows how the wind has been pushing these though. That's not good. Basically what's going on is all the weight's being shifted off to the side. It makes it rough on the stem of the plant. It's like holding a shovel by the tip of the handle up over your head. It's easy, but you hold that same weight out straight in front of you and it's much harder to hold up. Same deal with these. If you get one that's going way out to the side and you get a bunch of weight with fruit on the end of it, it's going to snap that stem. That's no bueno. But most of them, as you can see, are still upright. And for $3 a stake, roughly, I can't afford to do this whole garden with stakes. So I cut down some little trees and used those to stake some of the stuff that needed it, like the cauliflower and the Brussels sprouts. So those are tied up. The Brussels sprouts especially need that. And the broccolis. You can see it, they're forming nice heads. But that's basically what I got last year, is about that size of broccoli. This year I'm hoping to let the heads get up to like 6 or 8 inches across if I can. So we'll have tons of broccoli. Use some spinosad spray on the broccoli and a few other plants, because as you can see, they're just getting shot with flea beetles, just biting little tiny holes all over them. Usually they only mess with seedlings, but that looks like caterpillar damage. But the spinosad should have taken care of those too. And I don't see a caterpillar. But basically now that they're producing heads, that's when I really wanted to keep the bugs away from them. I don't want them messing up the heads. So I sprayed everything with an organic bacteria, basically, that the bugs ingest the bacteria along with the plant matter. And it makes them feel like they're full, even though they're starving. So they stop eating your plants and they die off. Good riddance, I say. Beautiful little broccoli head. They're doing really well. So this is what the flea beetles will do if just left unchecked. So like they really like these little seedlings. They're all soft and tender. But basically what it does is it puts the poor plant under so much stress that they bolt. Even though it's just this tiny little seedling, it's like, oh no, I'm dying. It's time to send up my flower and try to seed so that it can continue on the next year. So this is basically a garbage plant now because these flea beetles have just turned it into lace. Looks like a freaking doily. The spray did great, but for a few of these seedlings it's just too late. They're just so stressed at this point that they won't recover from that. So they're goners. Most of the bigger ones though, they're able to handle the extra pressure. They don't care as long as they have enough leaf surface to keep producing energy. But these poor ones down here at the end just really got it. Pumpkins are doing great. These are the Dill's Atlantic Giants. These are the huge pumpkins. This particular plant got broken off by my little dog Zim early on in the season, so it was basically just a little stump coming up out of the ground with one stick coming off the side and a single leaf. And as you can see, it's fully recovered. It's doing really well. Starting to flower and everything. It also got a fungal infection. You can still see kind of the remnants of it. But I sprayed some neem oil, which is basically a concentrate that comes from a tree, and that knocked the fungal infection out real quick. They're just about due for another spray. This is why I laid down the trellising on the ground. So I was grabbing a hold of that. When it gets super windy, it starts really pushing on this plant. This will help to spread the strain so that it's not just on the stem itself. It can spread out the pressure from that wind over the branches. But that ought to help it out because it gets super windy up here. This one here will probably be our champion pumpkin producer this year. Only going to allow the Atlantic Giants to have one pumpkin each, and I'll cut the rest off. That way it focuses all of the energy into that one pumpkin. We want some big ones. I mean, they get up to like 1,500 pounds or so, but we'll probably grow it to 500 or 600 pounds. Just to have a giant jack-o'-lantern out front. I think that'll be fun.